So I'm going to pick all of this, select all of it for the first way of creating the components that I want to reuse. And then I will go to the section here. It's not there because I have multiple things selected. So just click on the more action beside it. And you're going to see create component set. Click on it. It turns this into a component set, which is good. This is where the customization comes in. So first, I need to change this to imagery. Imagery can cover a set of things. We have icons, we have images, and then we have shapes. How can I solve this? It's very easy. I'm going to come to this property one, and I'll change that to type. What I'm just doing is naming. You can call it anything. Don't feel like you need to call it type. You can call it options. You can call it categories. Whatever you want to call it is up to you. It does not affect or impact what we're doing. What we now need to do is select the items that are related. So I'm going to select all the icons. And here it says mixed because they have their own individual names. Well, what I'm going to do is change this to icons, so that when I'm selecting, I know what I've selected. Don't bother about this error. It's because we've not done all the customization. The next one, I'll select all the images, and the same thing, images. And what do I do last? I'm going to select the shapes. These shapes, I would like to give them colors. So first, I'm going to select this one and give it this blue because we already have colors above. So why do I need to think, and I would select this color. Perfect. This green feels a bit too bright, so I'll just pick the green. And then I'll select all of this. You know what? This blue feels like it's related to this one. So let's create that clear differentiation. All right, select all the shapes, and what do? We call it shapes. Or you can call it shape, icon, image, shapes. Now, we still have that error. Why do we have this error? It simply means we can actually update the things here. If I move one out, I can change it to images and shapes. You can see that it's changing, but I cannot switch the variants. So I cannot switch this shape to circle, to triangle or square or star. I can't do that, but I can switch it from the shape to an image and to an icon. How can we solve this? It's very simple. We need to select the primary component, which is this component, and we need to create another variant. So if you see where it says properties, at the far right, it shows a plus. So it's saying, do you want to add another trigger to these components, or do you want to add another option to these components? I'm trying to look for a simpler word to use. Do you want to customize your avatar? Do you want to give it a color? Do you want to give it, if you've ever used those customization tools, do you want to give it a hairstyle, and you want to be able to pick these different hairstyles? Then you click on this. You just click create property, and you can just come here and choose variant. There's instance swap, but that's not what we're going to do. We're going to choose variant. In this section, we want to be able to change the individual elements. What this means is if we select icon, we want to switch the icon from the dashboard icon to the analytics icon, or the support icon, or the gear icon. So what do we call this variant? I'm just thinking what I want to call it. I'm just going to call it options. And then as a default, I'll just leave it as default for now. But default simply means I want to change the value. So what are the values? The individual, all of these have individual values. For instance, I can call this guy 1, or baby 1, I can call this a guy 2 or baby 2, whatever I want to call it. I can call this circle, that is what the value is. It's like whenever I type this, this is the result I want to have. So what I'll do is I can change this or just leave it as default. I can obviously change it later. But just to illustrate what I've just said, we can just call this circle and then click create. What that does is in the option, we now have only one value, which is the circle. If I click on the circle, you're going to see that it has circle. But this is what happened. Everything becomes circle. If you notice, as I'm clicking on all of them, they're still having the title circle. So what this means is now we can change this. We can change it actually. We can go into shapes and we'll have circle. It doesn't matter because it's only picking the first element that is within our component. So the way we can now change this, because we now have that second option, is to start changing each individual element. So we'll go to dashboard. We'll call this dashboard. I'll just call it dash just to be faster. I can use my tab key. I'm using tab key on the keyboard just to move faster. I can call this babe2, guy2. All right, you see, I'm just giving it values so that I can be able to pick it. And baby1, guy1. Now, if I select image, this is what happens. I can now switch from these individual assets that I've created, and you're going to see them over there. All right. I can go on and on. Let me complete the rest. I'll call this analytics. I was going to leave it short, but that would that would be crazy. All right, so this is circle. This is star. And we can arrange this. I'll show you what we're going to do. Because right now, when the user wants to pick, it feels like a lot of things happening there. So triangle. And then we'll call this support. And then there's one more here. The analytics, I think I named the wrong one, analytics. All right, and then we'll call this gear. And if you notice, the error has disappeared. I'll undo that. You see the error is there. This is the last element that hasn't been named. So as I give it a name, that error is now off. What this means is our component set is now ready. So we can select this. We can have multiple. And if we do, you know what, I'll just duplicate this 4 times, bring this to the center. These are component sets now. So these would be images. I can pick, this is guy 1. I'll change that to guy 1. And I said we could arrange it. So select the component, all right, go into options, click this edit icon, and then we can just arrange this based on how our components are. So starting with icons, we go for icons. Where's dashboard? So there's dash, and then we have gear, which I think will be the last, right? So we have gear, and then we have analytics. We have support. And then we have the images. So guy 1. We can put guy 2 beside it. Baby 1 and baby 2. We have circle, square. We just send this to the last, and the triangle will be second. All right, so we've done our arrangement. So we can give this guy 2, and then this is going to be, why didn't this update? Okay, actually updated. So let's start with the icon. Actually updated. I was thinking I put the images first. All right, so I'm choosing analytics, and then the last one, support. Guy 2, guy 1. This is a lot of work, but it would save you a lot of time that you would have to baby 2. And then for the shapes, you see it's easier for me to like change them. We have triangle, we have square, and then we finally have star. All right, so now we have all of this done, but I don't know if anyone noticed the issue. The issue is I had to pick all of this within a full bank of assets. This is not scalable, because if I have more than these icons tomorrow, I currently manage a design system that has over 100, I don't want to exaggerate, over 100 icons. If I have this, then I'm going to have a huge problem finding what I need, because if you notice, if I select something, there's no search. I don't have a search here, and one of you could create this solution for Figma. There should be a search at the top so I can search, especially when I have very long assets. So this is the challenge, and that's why I'll switch over to these guys. I'm just going to grab these ones because they already have the colors. I'm using Alt to bring them out. I'll just right click and remove the instance. So detach instance. This means I don't want them as a component anymore. I want them as just an element. So with that, I would have this over here. Hope you guys can still hear me. And I'll come over here. Yeah, thank you so much. So let's give this some spacing and just make these numbers feel right. All right. Now, what I want to do is I would take this, keep it here, take this over here. I want them to be standalone assets. So what this means is when I have even more things, I can keep adding below and below, or even move it to a completely different page. So what I'm going to do is I'll select everything. I can select everything or do them one by one, like section by section. But to be faster, I'll just select all of it. And then I'll go here and make them create multiple components. Not create component, because if you do this, it creates just one component. You might even face an error. So you click on create multiple components. What this means is initially I would have just clicked on one and create components, click on the other one, create components. But instead of doing it one by one, I just want to do multiple at the same time. So this is what multiple components does, not component set. So it turns them into individual components like you've seen, each of them with their names. All right. Now this is where the magic comes in. If I select this and I click this drop down, I still find a lot of them in the same place, and this is bad. I don't need this. Okay, let me bring this to the center so you see what's happening. This is what I see, but this is not what I want. So what do I want? I'll keep this here. I want, whenever I select an icon, I should only see icons. So how do I fix this? I'm going to select this. You can come up here or you can type here directly. I like to do it over here. I'll go to the first and I'll type in icon slash. This is the rule I'm setting. And then I'll just copy that icon slash so that I don't type it wrongly, because if you type it wrongly, then you're going to have the same issue. It would create another category. What I'm basically doing is creating a category. So I'll click on the speed, and what I copied, I'll just paste it in there. So icon slash speed, and as you guessed right, we're going to have this as icon slash analytics. And then finally, we're going to have this as icon slash, I don't like long names, so I'll just remove that contact from the name. So we have it short and simple. If I click on this now, what happens? I can come here and I find only the icons, right? I can switch it. I can go back and pick another icon. And did you notice what happened? And now I have the images displaying to me. So if I have my screen in light mode, you would see these images better. I don't want to open my sidebar. So you would find these images even more clearer. All right. I can also change it to list if I want. I can only have list. Let's remove this. So it shows like a bunch of show subfolders. This is wrong. This is actually wrong here. So I can have it as grid, I can have it as a list, but I need to fix the other folders so that I don't keep having that issue. So what I'm going to do here is what? Someone tell me. What would I do here to fix this category? Can someone tell me?
Yeah, you're going to rename it so that's maybe avatar slash or image slash.
Image slash what?
Slash guy one.
Image slash guy one. And then what do I do next?
Then I think you first name the components, like for the images, image slash, then you pick the individuals and name the conversion like that, image slash guy one, image slash guy two.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Another person, I want you to tell me what I should do here. He's correct. Okay, but what should I do here now before I move to the next image? Anyone? So I'm going to count 3. If you don't tell me, I'll say it. 3, 2, 1. Okay. So copy that instance or copy that value. So copy it so that you don't have to go here and then maybe you're typing and you go do something like this slash baby 1. Did you notice what happened? Did anybody notice what I just did? Yeah? What did I just do wrong?
Yeah, I think it's spelling error.
Spelling error, exactly. So now if I bring out this guy and I click, I'm supposed to see. Stop showing me subfolders. Okay, so if I click on this guy, I'm supposed to see what? The guy and the girl, right? But what happened? The girl has been created, or a new category has been created for her. So to solve this, I would go back here, and I already copied that other value, and then I'm going to paste it. Now, if I click on this, I'm going to find the girl and the guy. That's why it's very important that you pick it so that you don't do things twice, because as a designer, you want to work very fast. These little things can kill your productivity. So we're going to call this guy 2, and then we'll move faster and call this baby 2. Good. Now, if we select this, we can find all of them here, which is really good. Okay, yeah, this is what I want. And then we'll do for this as well. So we're going to have shape. We just slash. I've copied that, and then I'll call this circle. I can leave this as the polygon that it is. It's fine. Then this is going to be triangle. And then finally, this is going to be star. All right, good. Now, each of them, I can hold Alt to drag it out so that I can see what has been done. I can easily now swap. Now, everything is ready. So what does this mean? Pick the one that is suitable for you. I'm going to put all of this in a shape, right? In a section, I mean. And then we can just align them vertically, right? And this will be shape. Sorry, I like to name my things, and image and icon. So when I'm looking for something, it's also easier. So I'm going to open my sidebar. I can go to search, and I can search like icon, and it's going to pick that element for me. You can see wherever I had icon, it would show me or take me to that spot. I can click on them and it take me there. So that's one of the good thing about naming your elements, because it's easier for you to find things. And then we'll just keep this here. We'll get rid of this one. And now it's time for us to build the sidebar. So what do we now do? Very easy. We now have all of our elements. We pick the one that we want. I'm just going to go with this one. I'm just going to drag it out. And also, without dragging it out, you can also pick this element. All right. You can just go to the sidebar, go to assets, and just click and choose icon. You can type icon and then you drag out an icon. I think this should be ours because I have a bunch of icons here. This is ours. So you can now use it and then you can easily like switch it. All right, this meeting will end in 15 minutes. You can send me a link. You can send another link to the group. I just need somebody to volunteer to do that. Okay, so I'll delete this because I already have the icon now. This icon is 24. I don't need to wrap this icon in another frame. Okay, so what I'll do is select this. This image, the text is 14px. So I select the image and the icon, put it in auto layout, Shift plus A, or I can just come here and click on this layout tool. All right, and then this is on auto. It shouldn't be. So I'm going to change the width from fixed to hog contents for now. And then this I'm going to use between 12 and 16. For this case, I'm going to use 12 because this has a bounding box around it. If it didn't have, I would have used 12. What did I use? I think I used 12. I would have used 8 rather, because now with this bounding box, I have some extra 1, 2, 3 lines here. So this is the major reason why I'm using 12. But you can use 16. Come on, you can use 12. You can use 20. Feel free. Do your exploration. Look at it and feel like, oh, is this suitable for my work? If it is, absolutely use it. Okay, and then with this one, I'm going to give it a fixed width. Okay, I'm going to, so what I like to do is do a test. I'll put this in a shape that would feel like the sidebar itself. And then I can do something like this. Make this 300, for instance. All right, that feels like a lot. So we can use 280. Now bear in mind that this will have a padding. So this padding, I'm going to make it 12 by 12. This is where the tricky part comes in. I want it to be 12 by 12, but I don't want it to always extend. So I'm going to lock this. I'm going to change this element, which is the sidebar. I will change it to a fixed height and I'll remove the 12 from here. Because this is what I'm going to do next. I'm going to change this from 48 to 40. You can make it 48, you can make it 56, it's up to you. And it's up to the project you're working on. If you're working on a project that has a lot of sidebar items, then you want to make it smaller. If you're working on a sidebar that does not have so much and you don't see it scaling to have so much, then you can use 48. You know, it's like a rule of thumb. You can use 44, you can use 48, you could use more. It's up to you. But I want to use 40. And this is the default state. All right. Now I'm going to just break out that frame. I don't need it anymore. This is going to be the default for I just call it default. This is the static format of it. And then I'm going to duplicate this. But for this, I'm going to face an issue. And the issue is when I switch it to an active state, the icon would be impacted because usually the icon in the inactive state is set to gray, like a gray color. The text can be black, you know, but the icon is usually set to gray. So when I switch this, I'm going to face that issue. So in this case of the sidebar, what I like to do is create a completely different icon set. that is completely different from the one I would have used initially, which is this one. Because if I switch this and I'm trying to use it in another navigational item, this would now change to black. So every time I have to like change the icon color, which is going to spoil my work. So the approach I'll go with would now be this one. But what I'll do here is I would remove all of this. All right, because the sidebar does not have so many icons, so I can use this one. And it gives me that clear context to what I'm looking for. So with this in mind, I would delete the second property, and I only have the icons. I would also like, I don't need the type. Instead, I need this to be options. Yeah, I need options and I need states. Okay, so I'm going to create states next. I call this variant 2 and this will be states. And here I'm going to say, let's say, let's call this default, the default state, and the other one will be selected state. All right. And then what I'm going to do in here is first I'm going to select all of this because they're the default states, and I'm going to pick the color. Let's call this icon gray. So the gray. And then with all of it selected, I'm going to duplicate it. And then here in the state, you can see it's highlighted. I can call this selected. All right, we're going to fix this very shortly. And then if I click here for the icon color, I can now pick the black. And if I select this, I could give this the option. So options will now be me selecting this and giving this dash. Select the next two. I'll give them the same name, gear or speed. Select the next two, and I would give this analytics. And then I'll select this one, and I would call it support. The error is out. And what would happen now is I would select this one, okay? And then I'll come to my design and replace it here and replace it here. And then for this one, I'm going to change it to selected. All right, this is going to be the selected state. And then we can give this like a background color just to create that clear difference from the other one. You can either make it a blue, or you can, you know what, we can give it a blue, or we can give it a gray. Let's use gray. So I think I have a hover color. Yeah, so I have a hover color, and that will be gray. I'll select both of this and I will put them in, I'll give it a 16, or let's completely round it. So just type in 60, that's fine. Yeah, this is fine. The space here feels a lot, but it's fine. So another thing you want to do is ensure it has the same name. Ensure it has the same name. I just want to be sure that this call is still on. Okay, we still have 7 minutes before it ends. So ensure these names, you don't change it. And then we're going to create the last one. This is the hover state. All right. And the last one is going to be the selected state. This is hover, this is selected. You can name them now so that when you create the component set, it would not, you don't need to rename them again. So this is hover, and this would be, for the hover, we could still, I want to change this hover color to a significant one. I'll just put a color behind. Let me see how that shows up. Okay, so this can be hover and still be the selected, but you want to change the color significantly, but I'm not sure I have a color that changes significantly. So let's go to my BG. I have background colors, maybe toggle. No, this is too too dark. Okay, I'll just leave it at this color just for this training. You can choose your own color, ensure you have the hover and the selected state, and communicate this to the dev. All right, with that done, I'll select all of it, and let's just give this equal spacing. I'll just change the space to like 22. All right, then go up to components and change this to create component set. So what have we done? We first of all created the component set for the icons, and now we've created the component set for the elements, and we use the icons from this one. Now what this means is, we're going to call this sidebar nav. Yeah, this is good. And then what I'm going to do now is build the sidebar. So I'm going to just drag out one. All right, I'm holding shift to drag it out, or you can copy and paste. All right, you can just copy it and paste. And that's that. So now we have this. I can come over here and change it to hover or selected, but I have this way. So I don't like to see property one. So we'll call this state or variant, whichever one you want to call it is fine. Change this to default, and then we're going to duplicate this multiple times. I'll put both of these in auto layout. It's at 0, which is still fine. You can give 4 or 8 px away, but like I mentioned, it also depends on the amount of things you have in your sidebar. For a platform like ChatGPT or Stripe, they would be using 0 because they have a bunch of things on the sidebar. So why risk that extra space? But there are instances where you have like a line. You have like a line this way that demarcates a component from a component. In that case, you need to group them separately. So you're going to have it this way, all right? And then you put it in a component in an auto layout. That way you just have 8 px space between both of them, so that there's a clear hover case. Because if I hover and this was at 0, this is what it will look like, which is bad visually. Functionally it works, logically it works, but visually it looks like something is broken. Okay, so that's why you want to give that extra space. That's only when you have this line going on, which I haven't used in any of my design yet. All right, so I'll just delete this, and then I'll send this back to the default, and then let's duplicate this 4 times because we only have 4 icons. And then I'm going to select all of this, or select the component itself, and then I'll just give it a padding of 12 px on both ends. That way, when something is hovered, and let's just give this a white background color. When something is hovered upon, it would now be clear for the user that they're in hover state, all right? And then there's a clear demarcation from the padding. This is why I gave it 12. You can give it 16, you can give it 20. I love 12 because it doesn't feel like so much is happening, all right? And then this is at 248. You can extend this as well. Feel free. You can make this 280 because there's some text that you may have that might be longer, you know, and you will notice that my elements also grew with it because they're in fill. If they were in hog or fixed, they won't grow with it. And it's very simple to do. All right, just select it and change it from what it is to fill, so that regardless of how lengthy this is or small it is, it's going to grow with it. Okay, so we have this. Now, there's also a section above, but let us treat the text. Now, I'll go back to the components, all right, and I'll select all the text. I can just select one and hit the what do they call it again? Matching layers, all right, and then I would come to where we have appearance, and if you go next, you're going to see visibility, you're going to see apply variable / property. Click on that one, and you're going to have a pop-up sheet. This pop-up sheet would enable you create something. So with this sheet, I'll just click on the plus, and it pops up this other sheet, all right, which I can also separate. And now what I want to do is I'm going to, I selected the wrong one. This one is to hide. Sorry, it's to hide it. Don't use this one. So what I've just done is to hide and show this text, which can work for instances when you have the close sidebar function. All right. But what you want to do is go up here to where it says image. Usually it used to be closer, but now it's at the top. So where it says image, which is the text here, I can change it to get started. It's going to update it here. So I can just...
Sorry to interrupt you.
So for the text, just go up here to where we have get started and click on that icon. It's going to show you something different than showing you like a toggle very shortly. So you have this, and then just click on the plus, and then you're going to see text. So the name, you can just leave it as text, which is the name. The value now is the get started, which is the actual value you would enter, and then you can just click create property. That text property has been created. Now, if I select this element, you're going to see I have multiple properties now. I have the state, and then I have the text, which I can update here to analytics. It will update this, all right, and the rest of them remain the same. Okay, now, what you want to do here is I've made one the active state, so I'm just going to change it from that to selected state. All right, so this is in the selected state. I want to change its text, and I also want to change icons now. So I'm going to call this dashboard. Right, let's go to the next one. We'll leave this as analytics. But what we're going to do here is we're going to select the icon, and then we're going to leave the default. We're not touching that. We'll just come and change that to analytics. You can see that the icon maintained the same styling. All right, and then for this one, we're going to change it from this to say speed. Let's use speed instead. And then for the last one, we're going to call this support. And then just like that, we can also change this to support. And then we can change this to gear, which is now speed. And you can also prototype this. We can come over here, open up our prototype tab. And if I select this one, I can hover from here to this. And I just set a property as while hovering. So while hovering, show this. And I can make it smart animate. This is going to be on easing because it's going in. No clear reason, just because it's going in actually. And then this, I would select from this. So if I click on this, then it should change to this state. So it's going to be on click, smart animates in, which is fine. All right, and that's it. Once it's another one is clicked, then this will change, but we don't have that variant. You have to create multiple screens to be able to do this. So you have the first board, and then you have another one and another one to be able to manage this effectively. All right, so with this now, so we have this, and then we need a logo to be at the top section of this board. So what this means is we're going to select this, hit enter to select all four of them. I like using enter instead of clicking one, hold shift, click. Just select, press enter on your keyboard. It selects all of them. Then you put that in another auto layout of its own, because now you want to have multiple sections. So I'm going to duplicate this upward. All right, for this one, I'm going to create a logo. So I'm just going to grab one of the texts and then select this and paste to replace, and then I'll just call this logo. And we can do one more thing. We can just get that sidebar icon. What do they call it again? I'll just type in sidebar. I should find it. Sidebar or collapse. Yeah, one of this. Yeah, this one. And then just throw it in there. Select this and put it horizontally, and then use auto to push it to the end. Right, this becomes the top section. Select it, and this one, put in auto layout. You see how I created 2 different sections for it. You should create yours that way. That way it's easier to manage effectively. All right, for this one, it's going to have a bounding box around it. So it's not just going to be this. I like to show like a hover state for this type of things. So I'm going to put the bounding box at, I'll just put this, draw a frame. All right, and then I'll give it auto layout, center it, remove the horizontal and vertical padding, and then I'll lock this aspect ratio and change this to 32. And then I can kind of completely round this. 99 is fine. And then we can duplicate this and throw it in here. It stays at the center. With that, I can probably just make it 20 to be smaller, but this remains at 32. And this bounding box is going to have the hover color. And we can select this and paste to replace, right? And this was impacted. I'll make this 44 in height and remove the vertical padding, change this to center aligned, and that's that. We'll leave the horizontal padding. So now what I've done, I've shown the hover state. So when a user is trying to close this board, then this hover shape is going to show around it. I'll just hide it for now and leave it as this. With this, we can now come over here to the space between and change that to 0. And there we have the sidebar. All right, the sidebar is not complete until it has the other layout. This is where we now move to the other section or segment or module of this video. Of this lesson. So I'm just going to drag this downwards because I don't need these other elements anymore. All right, so this is our sidebar. I'm going to give it a height of 900, but you will notice that it showed the 900, but there's no color on it. Now, the only place I want to be impacted in this is the content section. So what I'm going to do is, if I put this at center and I do what I want to do, you're going to notice an issue. And I'm doing it this way so that a lot of you would not have an issue. You might have a question, oh, why did this do this way for me? It wasn't this way in the video. You know, so this is why I'm doing this. So I'm going to put it at the center. I've selected this content and I'm putting it at the center in the auto layout channel. And I'm going to go to height, not the width. The width is already at fill. I'll go to height and I'm going to change that to fill. Now watch what happened. This content came to the center. To fix this is just one click. Go back and send it to the top, align top left, and it aligns to the top. Now you have your sidebar. The sidebar usually have multiple elements. Sometimes people put, okay, so I'll call this sidebar first. And once you create a sidebar, you need to, if you want to be able to reuse that sidebar, you need to create component sets. So this means you have to like duplicate this 4 times, you know, and then you change the state and then you wrap everything in a component set. That way in your design, you don't need to click on this and change it from, from default to selected. You can easily just do that by just clicking. It's still the same thing, but it keeps it consistent and it keeps managing it better, because if you create a component set and tomorrow you want to add one more icon, okay, you can easily do this without having to go over all the file to start changing them. So what you just do is come to the component sets that you've created, add the icon here, and then it duplicate it for the rest of it, and it will just show up on the global file. Okay, so that's one benefit for you guys. Hopefully we'll be able to create a mini course for design system in the future for you guys. So once you have this, you can do multiple things. You can either put an outline under here. The way I add outline now is I go to stroke and then I would choose my outline color, and where you see these individual strokes, I'll just click on it and choose bottom, and it adds an outline for me. You can see the line, like a divider between the top section and the bottom section. If you want to do that, it's fine. If you want to keep it clean without showing it, it's also very fine. Okay, so the sidebar is treated. Now, like I said, we need to go to the main content session. Now, what I need to define is what would be the basic frame size I'll be working with. And if I go to frame, I can go to desktop, and I can choose from the bunch of desktop we have. You can see that the maximum one we have is the 1440 desktop and wireframe. I can choose that, but I'm going to change the height to 900. Okay, so this is where everything is going to live. Every single element is going to live. So I'm going to move this in and align left and top, so it's at the left hand side. I'm going to select this frame, and this is what I'm going to do. I can add an outline here. I want to show you how you can add the outline. So first, I'm going to clip content so that the outline is not affected by anything. And then I'm going to choose my outline color again. And then now with this, I'm going to choose the right corner. And just like that, you'll see that my outline or the line has shown on the right corner. Okay, you can keep it clean if you want to have a different type of dashboard by removing this outline, and then you can have this background as, I'll use my app background color. You can have it as a gray, a light gray, so that the content you put on it feels like it's flying. It's like a hover content. All right, so let's stick with this one. And what I'm going to do next is I'll need to define two different elements. The first one is the top navigation. This would be the top navigation. Remember, we have the sidebar. Now we need the top navigation, and then we need the body content. And like I said, some people like to put the avatar in the top navigation, or they put it at the bottom part of this screen. It's up to you. Wherever you want to put it, it's absolutely fine. Just ensure that wherever you put it does not come in contact with these contents in the future when the contents grow. So you don't have to tell the dev to like move it from here to here. Then users start thinking, oh, I thought it used to be here. Where is it? Where is it? You know, so users will always have this. They don't want to. Users are lazy. I'll use that word. They are lazy. All of us are lazy. So if you're using a certain app and then you suddenly come into the app to use it, and then where you used to unconsciously click on something, it's no longer there. It can feel frustrating. So always ensure that when you put something somewhere, it stays there for at least a very long time, a couple more years. 3 to 5 years it's absolutely fine. So think in that long term. All right, let's get back. So what I'm going to do now is I want this to be the same for this section. So what I mean by the same is I want it to be the same height. Okay, so I have it as the same height now. All right. So this is going to contain the text for this dashboard. What do I mean by this? The dashboard has a central section for titles. So what I'm going to do is change this to dashboard, because we're in the dashboard page. See it as the simple thing that we do when we have like a mobile screen. I'll make this 390 by 844. Now I have these numbers in my head. I think this is iPhone 14. So when you have a mobile screen, usually have a title. Let's not use home, because in the home now we have like the avatar icon, and then we sometimes have like notification icon by the right hand side. So let's have something like wallet. Maybe you have a wallet feature. So you usually have a wallet, and aside having a wallet, we have like this. I'll just go into iOS, go to status bar, and then just pick it. I want to give you clear context. So we'll duplicate this. Paste to replace. And then I'll just scale this back to 390. And then this is going to be here, but I'm going to use 24 semi-bold. I already have, like, this file has a style guide that I've created for an ongoing project. All right, with this, I'll put this in an auto layout. I'll define the width. The width is going to be 20. And then for the height now, it's at 49. I'm going to just give this 8. It's at 45, which is still good. And then I would put both of them in auto layout. Their spacing will be 0. This would be fill container. The text will go to the center, I know, or align left. All right, so this is the title of this page. And then below it, you have the card that contains your, let's make this 32 space, no, 20, yeah, 32. So you below it, you have your card. This is, I think, 350 would give me 20 and 20. If I center align this, yes, perfect. So this card is the wallet card, all right? And then below it, you have like the transactions. You first have the title of the transaction, somewhere around 24. And then you have the individual transactions that just run through the screen. This is the basic flow for a wallet page in your app. Now, if you had like a settings, and obviously you're going to have like a sidebar, a bottom bar rather. So this would say is our bottom bar. Let's like give this a more darker color so it feels like it's separated. Okay, so that is our bottom bar, and then it has like a bunch of circles. Yeah, so it has these circles. Good. These circles are the individual pages. All right, I'd like to like move these upward a bit so we can have that bottom part. I'll duplicate this, send it downwards, and then just bring it this way. Don't worry, I'm getting at something. And then we'll just have this, the home indicator, and then these icons. All right, so this is the typical way you have it on the mobile, on your mobile app. Now, in some of these financial app, you have another page, which is, okay, let's use WhatsApp. But let's say the WhatsApp has a wallet now. In your WhatsApp, you now have another page called Chats. Right? And you have another page called Settings. So we'll just leave it at these 3. You'll notice that the title has a consistent position. And this position is usually at the top. You have another set of top navigation, which stays at the center. But for this one, you actually need a shape. So I'll bring in a shape. This shape is going to be, I'm going to lock this aspect ratio, and I'll change it to 24. This shape is going to be the icon, meaning the back icon. And this one, I'm going to make it 16 and smaller. And this one, we could say the user went into the transaction, the wallet page, and then clicked on see all transactions. So we're taking the user to the transaction history page. I'm using a transaction app because it's easier for us to understand. All right, to fix this, I'll just make it auto, but there's a trick for doing this to ensure that this is at the middle, so you don't manually like break the alignment and then start moving this one until you get to the center. No, because it will always change. If you type another text, it won't be at the center. So to fix this, you duplicate this one. Let's call it the icon. Let us not call it the icon. Let's get an icon. So we'll bring this, I'm going to type back and I'll use this icon instead. Now, I like my icon to have a bounding box around them so that the user does not find it hard to click back. So we'll make this an icon wrapper. I'll put this at 32. And then I can remove this. You can even make it 44. You can make it 44, it's up to you. And then we'll throw this in here. And then we can align this left, right? And with this, we can just remove that frame. Ensure this frame has a fixed height. Right, the height is 45, so our frame works within it. 45. And then this would not work because it's smaller, so it would not be at the middle. So I'm going to duplicate this. Send it to the far right, click enter and remove that icon. That way, this element will always be at the center. And you can also test it out. If I move this and I type in something like profile, or let's say preference from settings, the user goes to preference, you see that it always remains at the center. So why did I do this? I did this to show you an illustration. All right, let's make this even more within its context. All right. So the same logic applies to the dashboard. So now for the title, I would increase the size from 14 that it currently is at, and we're going to make it somewhere around 20. This is a dashboard title. Now we've treated two things. We've been able to cover the sidebar and also the top navigation. Now the next part is the content area. So what I like to do here is I like to draw a frame. I'll put it in auto layout. I'll give it a padding between 24 and 40. The sweet spot is 32 from the many tests that I've done. So 32 by 32 in the padding on the left, on the vertical and horizontal axis. And this is going to be top left. Don't put it at the center, obviously. And then the spacing can be between 24 and 32. I'll give it 32 because I already have 32, 32, 32. That is not a logic for you to use, all right? But I'll leave it at 32 because I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this. And then I'll move this upward, all right? So it touches all the edge. And now I'm going to treat this as two columns. What I mean by two columns is the sidebar will be on a standalone. This and this would be in auto layout. And you're going to see our dashboard come to life very shortly. I'll put both of these in auto layout. The height, this went to absolute. So if you face this, where you select this and you're not seeing the 900 or a higher number, then you know that there's an issue somewhere. So I'll just select this. I see that it went to ignore auto layout and toggle that off. Now, if I go back and select this, I see I have 910, and that's because it has a space of 10. I'll change that to 0, and now we have 900, which is now simultaneous with our sidebar. And with this, I'll break the main frame that I initially had. You see that we now have two separate content area. So I'll select this and put it in what? An auto layout. Now we have a proper dashboard. My color will not be on this content area, because if you do that, you're going to still have like an invisible line. There's always like a 0.1 line that always shows if you've designed websites. If you don't give it the frame, if you don't give the frame a color, then it will impact it. So I put the color on the frame itself. So I'll go to fill, and on that fill, I'm going to choose my app color, which now covers everywhere. But remember that this section already has its color, so that is fine. Always give this section a color, the top navigation a color, because content here would be the only scrollable area. This will be fixed, and the top navigation would also be fixed. So what this means is, while the content is longer on this screen, the user will be able to scroll, and it will scroll beneath this area. To fix this, I'm going to select this and ensure that last does not become on top. What does it mean for last to be on top? I'm going to show you something. So inside of this board now, I'm going to draw a square, duplicate it, and if I select both of them, I can do fill container, and then the padding is a bit more, so I'll make that 24. You can select both of them. They became auto, change that back to 24, and then make this vertical alignment so that it affects the container itself, and then I can duplicate this 2 more times. This is going to be our grid layout for the content within the content session. Now, I mentioned something about the top navigation and scrolling. So I'm going to duplicate this because I want to show you an illustration. For this section, we have the auto layout setting for canvas stacking as last on top. This means if I have 2 elements here, then auto layout is recognizing that this one is the last on top. So what this means is, if I make this now, instead of the fix that it is to hog content, this is what I'm going to have. Ensure that this also is at the top. All right. And then this is going to be on fill container, fills up everywhere, because this always grows with the page. All right. Now this is it. If I make this smaller and click content, and then I come here and I say, and I remove the clip content from here actually, and I say when this user is scrolling, I want this to scroll beneath this. If I change this layout from the top to bottom, do you know why that didn't work? Because this is in full scale. This is what would happen. The elements would look like this. So how do I fix this? Just select it and go back to the settings and choose first on top. Now it scrolls beneath it. If I extend this, one, you're going to see that it's scrolling beneath the top header. And this is what you want to achieve. So what do? Select this, come to the settings here and choose first on top. We already have our basic layout. Now, the layout or content you choose for your design depends on what you're designing. So nobody will be able to give you a clearer context on what you are designing on the internet. So the layout you go with depends on what you're working on. For instance, I can have these take up 3 columns. I can duplicate one more and it's going to be 3 columns. The way this works in a mobile setting, I'm going to use a mobile setting to define why when you're designing the dashboard, you need to use the mobile first approach. In a mobile screen on the home page, let's assume you have several widgets. Let's say this is the home screen. I'll use this to define the layout for the dashboard. Let's say this is the home screen. So it's the dashboard. So we say home. In the home screen, you have a wallet at the top of the screen. All right. You also have, let's move the transaction a bit downwards. You also have like some applications now have like quick links where they have a bunch of circles, you know, where it says something like pay bills, do this, buy airtime, buy data. So they have these as quick links. Yes. Does someone want to say something? All right. So we have it this way. And these are the quick links. Sometimes they come with only icons. Sometimes they come with icon and text. So this is a widget of its own. This is a widget of its own. And I'll just keep this as this. And then some other times I'll group this, Control G. I would also group this, deselect this, Control G, and then this, Control G. Some other ones have other things on the home page as well. They have things like, what do I call it now? Like articles, for instance, blogs. They could have anything within this context. So when you want to design this in a dashboard setting, maybe the app now has a web app where users can use this. Remember that the web app would also have a mobile web app. So users will be able to go to their browser and use the web app on their phone, and they can use it on their laptop. So the way you would design this is using the mobile first approach. So these are a bunch of widgets. How do I transform these widgets on a dashboard that would be responsive on mobile as well? This is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to come over here, and just to give you an understanding of what a dashboard is, when you land on a dashboard is a summary of the different elements you have within an app. Different key elements or different key content within an app that you have. For instance, if you have an app that has analytics, it has speed, it has support, you want to put some cards of those elements or those contents in the dashboard. It's like a summary where the user can do everything within the app but doesn't have all the clear context. Like the speed could have multiple cards within it, but you pick the most valuable card from the speed page and you bring it to the dashboard. You go to the analytics, you pick the most important element the user would love to see, which could be, what's it called now? It could be their returns if they are doing investments in this app. You go to the wallet and you pick some elements from the wallet. And what would that element be? It would come from a business perspective. What element do I want to have within the dashboard, within the wallets page that I would love to have on this page? You can have multiple elements. You can have the transaction history, and you can have the clear wallet section, which also shows actions that the user can take. And these actions include things like deposit, withdraw, maybe they can split bill, they can do more things. If they click on more, there's like a bottom sheet that shows up and shows more things that these users can do. So you want to put this in the home page because you feel like this is going to be the most action the user will take. And you want to focus on things that the user do the most. So you're not just thinking, oh, I want to put a bunch of things in the dashboard. You have to make it as clear as possible. So what do I want to do? I want to show the most important content as the first box. I'm just going to delete this one first, and then I'll leave it in this layout. These layouts you're seeing are individual cards. All right. So in this layout, I want to use the wallet. So I'm just going to right click and change this to a frame. And then that frame is going to have white. And then for the radius, I'm going to use 16. And then I'll just remove this. This is the card now for the wallet. It depends on what color our wallet is. You know, wallets can be any color. It could be white, it could be black, it could be your primary brand color. Most people use this intentionally to draw attention to it, especially if that page has a bunch of white cards. So let's leave it as this. I'm going to grab this text, bring it in here, and we can put like an amount to it. Let's use dollars because I don't have the Naira sign here. And I would put 20,000, put 00, because most times when users buy things in foreign currencies, usually has like 50, 90, but in other regions, it's like just fixed amounts. Okay, so we have this. I'm going to make this a bit bigger, so somewhere around 24 would be good for my use case. And then I probably want to show some charts. I want to show how the user is using this amount. So I could do more because it's a dashboard. I could do more things. I could show like a trend of spending that this user has done. That would be having a chart. So the chart could be on this section. Why the amount is here, and maybe this user will be able to change the amount or the currency. So probably I want to have something like USD here. Of course, this would be smaller. Could use 14. Put in auto layout, and the height is 40, which I like. I'm going to change that, leave that at 40 for now. I probably would use 32. I think 32 would be good because I'm thinking about the mobile side as well. And then this would have either an outline, or I could use a fill. To make it more visually appealing, I could use a fill. So I'm going to use the app background fill. Select both of these, put them in auto layout, and now I'm going to need an indicator for the user to know that this is not just a tag. It's not a tag, but it's an interactive element. So we're going to use, you can either use a drop down, this, or you use a chevron. All right, with this now, I can just pick, I like to pick only the elements. I don't like to pick this entire thing because this entire card will be clickable. So I'll pick this element, come here, and paste it in there. Now I can get rid of this. By doing this, I'm going to have the left-hand side and the right-hand side the same. But if I had put that entire container, you would discover that one side would be like it's more than the other side. And then you would have to like break this padding. I don't want devs doing so much. I only use that icon with its bounding box the way it comes when I have it as a standalone element, so that it's easier for the user to click on it. Even when I have it as a standalone element, I always add a bounding box around it. Okay, so let's completely round this. I'll just put 60 or 66, and then we'll just make this 8 in space between, which is good for now. And this, like I said, would be the chart section, like a charts, C-H-A-R-T. And then below this, I want to have other elements. But because I already have a button, I don't want to have to redo that all over. So I'm just going to change the size of this from 14 to somewhere around 16. And I'm going to change this to like add money, a better context for the user. This will be bigger, so we can use 44. And the padding somewhere at 16. We want an indicator to let the user not always have to read the text. So I'm just going to click on add. And I think I will take this. Let me take the smaller one. And remember what I did? I would copy that, select this, and then I'll move it to the left. This is gone. All right. And I will duplicate this. Put both of them in auto layout. This is going to be withdraw. Right. I'm going to choose another icon. I think an arrow icon, which is pointing this way. It's like out. Select this, paste to replace, and then with this, I'll delete this. I'll select this, and I would make that 12. Then auto layout, I'm going to make the auto layout 16 for now. And then maybe we can have one more, which would be split bill, and always type in uppercase for these tiny actions. And with split bill, we could probably use this icon. And now we have everything. What we now need to do is specify which one we want the user to always look at. Which one brings us the most money? So I'm not teaching you only on the design, also on the business side. So you have some thinking when you're working on your dashboard or whatever you're working on. So from the business side, we're looking at what really brings us more money, and we want to emphasize this to the user. If the user adds money to their wallet, do we take fees from this? When the user withdraw, do we take fees? And if the user splits bill, do we also take fees? So we would switch the layout of this, of what comes first, with this logic. But I would use add money. So I feel like add money brings in more money to our system. When the user adds more money, it makes us more valuable, because we can go out there and say, oh, $5 billion entered our system in 2025. So this is a very good statistics to report in the public. So I'll make this blue. I just make this white because I can feel some lag somewhere. And then I would select all three of this. I know some of you are waiting for me to do the chart. Okay, I'd select all three of these, and I'll then I've already put these three in auto layout. Their padding is going to be 32 in space between. And then I'll select this major container and make it auto layout. This is 24 by 28. We'll make that 24 to keep the consistency going. And then I'll align this at the top. For the chart, I don't have a chart in mind. I'll just put this in a frame for now first. Delete this container, and then let's move this in here and just maybe put it at 2000, maybe 2K. And then I would make this a bit smaller, like 14, aligned left, and then duplicate it like maybe 4 times. I feel like it's big. So make it smaller. Yeah. Right. Auto layout. Centered left. This is going to be at 1K. This is going to be at 500. This is going to be 0. If I select everything, I can just change the property here to auto width. All right. So this, I'm going to use 71 as the color. If I double tap here, it's going to become bold. It was at fixed. You can either come here or just double tap on one of the line and it will spread out. Okay. And then because the spending is like daily, I want to show a line chart. So I could go from this to maybe the user did not spend today, the user did not spend the next day, the user spent a bit, another day the user spent more, another day and it dropped because the user went to church, so, or mocks, and the user did not spend on that day because they fasted. And then the user spent again, and then it was flat for the other days because the user spent that same amount for the rest of those days. I'm going to make this clip content so that that does not go out of the context. And now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first make this blue. All right. And I'm going to duplicate it, Control or Command D. If I hit enter, it's going to give me these lines. All right. And then I'll just come to one of the lines. Let's say this was the starting point. And then I would I'll use P. I just clicked P. That's the pen tool. Holding shift, I'll just get a straight line and it's going to show me this side, and then I'll close out that grid. And with that, I will choose a blue fill. All right, I'll send it to the bottom. You can either right click and do, where is it again? Bring to front or send to back. So it's send to back I just did. I used the shortcut command and the bracket next to the letter P on your keyboard. And then, just as every other dashboard, if you click on this, you're going to have the gradient. I'm going to just rotate it to be vertical. I'll pick that primary color because the other color has changed to a darker one. We don't need that. I'll put it there, and then I'll change this to 0. And I'll change this one a bit to somewhere around, I think 60. It's fine. Right, 60 is fine. And you can probably make this rounded if you want to. It's up to you what you're designing for your own app. And this is what we have. I feel like I need to add a line. I feel like I need to add line in here. Aside this, we're going to have something down here. Yes. That shows like when this spending was done. I will extend this to the end, and then we can do like a auto. That way I can like duplicate it multiple times. Let's assume it was for this month. So we'll put 1. This month has how many days? I think 30 days. So we can just keep the number. I just make this like 9, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. Okay, so we had a high jump from here, so I can just make this like maybe 3, 6, 9. Then we'll have 12. Okay, yeah. All right, so these are the days of the spending that was done. All right, so we have this number of elements, and I could just put like a line in here, a vertical, horizontal line instead. Right, and if I duplicate it this way, I could just select both of them and put in auto layout, so that I don't need to manually do the rest of them. Right, and let's bring this up a bit. Yeah, there is fine. Send it to the back. No, if we cut that, I can paste it in here and send to back. This, I'm going to choose a very light color for the line. The line cannot be looking like this. So somewhere around here. It's just for the user to be able to visualize this. So if we do it this way, right? Not that. Yep. I think what I'll do instead is I'll break these lines, and then I'll put them in auto layout this way. I'll just get rid of this, send to back. You can now select that line and delete. Would align this to the top, and then I can go multiple steps. But what I'm going to do is for this one, I'll give it like a 30, so that when I type in, I think it's going to even be more, maybe like 40. All right, and then it's going to have a padding of 16 is fine. No, 6. Let's try 12. 8, Yeah. 4. Okay, because I want it to align with the number 1. Right, with that done, we can now duplicate that 4 times. And then I can just bring this downwards a bit. Yeah. And then this is going to be 0. This is going to be, you know what, I'll make this 1, and then this is going to be 1.5. Okay. All right. Send this to the back. I'm just going to like bring this. Yeah, I'll make it this way. Oh, you know what? I'll send this to the top. Yeah. And then maybe this will be aligned right. Okay. Aligned right, and this is going to be like smaller. Yeah. Okay, you could also use like a bar chart if you want to. That way you could have it based on months, you know, just have those bars and can put like for year to date, January to September. That also works, but then you could show like a trend of the daily usage. Whichever way you want to show it is up to you. Okay, so this is like the wallet. It's not the best design, but it's to illustrate something to you guys. Here we have the wallet, all right, and then on this other screen I'm going to have maybe have the transactions, and we can call this, we can give it a title, transactions. I think that's one thing that is missing on this one. Like we could call it wallet, but it's fine to just have it this way. For this one, I would make the text size a bit smaller. Yeah, I think this is, yeah, aligned this way. All right, and then I would duplicate this and just say see more. For this see more, I can make it smaller, like 16, and then the color would be like blue. And then we could delete this. And I would just take this, duplicate, and then this is going to be transaction. So let's say you went to Chicken Republic and you spent in Republic and you spent some amount there. Say you spent $4.00. You spent, so we'll put a minus. All right, and this is going to spread to the end. We're going to have an icon. All right, I'm going to put a shape around it, a frame. Put down auto layout, centerize it, and I'm going to make this 40. What did I do there? Oh, there's something wrong somewhere. If we right click, maybe I chose flatten to selection frame. Yep. Put this auto layout. This is going to be 40. And then the padding on the left and right is going to be 0. This guy, I'm going to increase the size a bit to 16, and then we can completely round this. Then just give it like a fill color. Okay. And this is going to be 0 for now. We're going to remove this field. This is going to have a description beneath it. It could be the date. So let's say today. Transaction was made today. And this is on 16. We can make that 14. This is going to be on a secondary color. and this would be 4. This is 45. Let's try 3. 3 is fine, matches up with this. For this one, could either give it an outline, or we could give it a fill color. Let's give it an outline for now first. Put both of this in auto layout. So the spacing will be 16, and then this would be left aligned, and it's going to be on space between. There's a padding here. I don't need that padding. I don't need the one at the top as well. I need this to be hot content. This one, I need it to be semi-bold. You could add transaction successful or whatever you want to add. It's up to you. I feel like this is a bit bigger now. Then we can duplicate this, put both of this in auto layout, make the spacing 16, duplicate it some more. But this is where it becomes a bit tricky. Because I'll need a hover state, because it's on the web. So I want to attach a hover state to this. So instead of having the hover state like being like this when the user hover, we can break this into 2 containers. Say this is 24 by 24. So this is going to be 24 by 24. The height is very huge. So somewhere around 56. And then I'll remove that padding. And then this already has its own padding. So what I'll do is I'll remove the padding from the actual frames. All right. And this is going to be on 0. And now for this is the moment of truth. We're going to change this to 24. And each of them is going to have a padding. No, I did something wrong. So each of them will have a padding of, let's do 16 by 16. And then I'll give that an 8px padding. But remember that this one has 24 to it. It's 24 by 24. Now this is 16 by 16. So what I'll do is I would now add that difference. So 24 minus 16 would give you 8. So we're going to have 8 by 8. If I drag a ruler now, you see that it is aligned. But what has that given us? We were going to have we're going to have a hover for it. This is going to be at 16, and this is going to be at 16 as well. So we're going to have a hover for it. I'll change the spacing to this. This can be 14, except it looks bigger. This is 2, 0. Right. So this will now be like the hover when the user hovers on that section. So this will be the transactions. Let's make that semi-bold. So it has a clear difference between the rest of it. This now has an impact on the one beside it. It feels off. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to duplicate this, paste this in here, and then I'm going to take this top section and put it in here. All right. Duplicate this, remove that, and then this is going to be 0 by 0. This is going to have a padding of 24 by 24. Okay. Maybe we can remove this from here. Vertical alignment. This is 12. Okay. Paste it in here. Vertical alignment. I'll paste it in there. And I'll do hog. And this is going to be 12. This would be around 24. I think there's something missing from this wallet. Well, I can kind of figure it out. This is 16. Yeah. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Oh, okay. 0. All right. Then for this one, we'll now have to match it with this one. So this is 332. I would copy that. I'll make that 332 as well. With that, I'll be able to like paste one more. This one more would not work. You know what I can do? I can actually duplicate this, make it vertical, and then I can kind of paste this here and put it with this one and then make that vertical aligned. And then I can remove this. Yes. Oh shit, I shouldn't have removed that one. Where is it? Yeah. Okay, so I can delete this, take one of this frame and paste to replace here, then I can delete this. Now this is on a layout of its own, but it's going to spread to fill these two boxes. Then we can duplicate this multiple times on the side. And then we can kind of add the quick links to this section, and then any other card that we want to add can also be within this section. So I could break it something like this, and then let's say the quick links is like smaller. This I'm going to make hog, and that's 720. We'll make this 720 as well. This one I would make it fill. All right, and then for the last part, we could add anything we want to add for the down part. So if I select this, I can paste something here, and this one can be like the entire container. Depends on what I want to put in here, and it depends on what I can't actually think of what else we have. Yeah, but what I can do for this is frame. No, I'll just paste this, hit enter and remove just a few, and then here I'm going to put quick actions. You can also put quick actions on the sidebar, like just write quick actions and then put all the quick actions here, but you can also have it here as well. So for the quick actions, duplicate this. This would now be 24, and then vertically aligned like this. Then we can get rid of this. This is going to be like pay bills. Delete this, don't need that. Remove the auto layout that was in it, and then we can give it a padding of like 20 by 20. can duplicate it, align vertically, and maybe duplicate it more times. With this, I can actually change the frame to fill and then auto. Well, in the mobile side, we can show for, and then we can have a redirection to more if they want to, or we can have a button for more, which opens up more, or we can have it in 2 lines like this, depending on your direction. All right. In each of them, I'm going to give it like I think I want to give this like an outline instead of a fill. Okay. Then we'll make this 16. I would have to delete one, sadly. And I would change this to like 20 instead. Hit enter and do fill container for them so that they spread out. And I want to make this a bit lighter. Then the icons could be vibrant. Remember our icons, it could actually like use this icons. No, they're not the let's use this one. We just put it here. I'll break it, and then I would kind of make it bigger, somewhere like 32. All right. So I'm using this, don't use this in yours. All right, make it clear, context clear. This one, I'll just delete everything and it's just a white box. Then this is going to be what's on group that, yeah. Yep. For this one, I'm going to just cut it and group this, and let's do like a vertical alignment 24. Delete this. Now this is 16 by 16. Can make this 24. I've done that and I didn't want to do. And then give this white a white background. And what else can be here? For this, I don't like us it's very close to the edge. This could be 12. Yeah, cool. This is a bit big. Make that 12 as well. Yeah, cool. There's nothing to add here. So I will just take out some of this. I think 1 or 2 should do the magic. And then what I can do is adjust this one. I could actually cut it and paste it in here and get rid of this. And if I select this, oh shit. Yeah, no worries. Break this, it's in hog, so I'll just do fill container, and then this will be fill container, and then the entire line will be fill container. This is white, and it's 16, and it's clip content, and then this is going to be hog. And for this, we can do fill. and then we would have like a section here. This way it's easier for us to transform this to the mobile view. So if we still have dashboard, you know, there's an icon here that you can change in yours to like the avatar. We could actually make it the avatar. It could be the avatar and then like a notification icon by the side. This is 32 by 32. So if you duplicate it, select both of them, give it a spacing of 16, and I'm going to make this hog, and then you could put the notification icon inside. Where is that icon? Notification. Yep. You can just throw this icon inside of it and make the icon 20 px. All right. Remove the stuff that's around it. Just hide it. That will be the hover state. And then we could go grab our avatar. We have one. This is 24. And when you create your avatars, you want to create multiples. So that was 24. I'll paste it in here. But what I'll do is I would make that 32. And then I can remove that fill. Okay. This is what we have. If the user hovers here, then they can hover and then click. For the dashboard mobile, we can also do the same thing. This is 45 fixed auto. All right, we can use the notification icon here. We can also replace it with we can put like a chevron icon, not a chevron, a hamburger icon on the left. For those of you that don't know what this icon may look like, you could use this one or any one. I'll just use that one because it's closer. All right, and we have this. It's a lot of content actually. For me, I probably just embed this notification inside here. But yeah, we have this. Or I can embed these two information inside of here, then this will now be on the right. All right, but since we have this, we would now take this, bring it in here, make this 20 by 20. Chart is going to be impacted. All right, but you select this, bring it in, make this 0. Then we can now start making updates to this. First, starting with this background color. Okay. Right, so we have this. For this, we can actually make it 48. This is going to be 0. We'll just remove this because we will not need it anymore. Yep. Of course, this will be impacted. So we'll start going to 16 by 16 on mobile. This is going to be 8. This will be smaller. I'm going to use medium. And then the icons would be smaller as well. The height will be 24. Okay. This will be smaller as well, 16. The space between them will be 16 because there's no other interactive elements within the same section. And then this one would be 16 by 16. This text will be 14. Right. The padding, we can change that to 8. This would be 14 as well. We'll fix it very shortly. 16, 16. Okay. In mobile, you know what? We could hide this. We'd say in mobile, only show it in the, what's it called? Only show it in the analytics page. This 16 by 16, which is good. For this one, since our button is not fitting, we can change it to the more icon. More. This one. And could replace this. This is 44, so we would make the width 44 as well. Remove the padding here, 0 and 0 and 0. Okay, that should fit now. If we do auto, yeah, that should fit. This is 12, this is 12, maybe 8. And a little bit of padding. I would also like to make this vertically aligned, like 8. Send the amount down. Let's try 12. Yep. To make the card have a bit of white space. Okay, and yeah, the last one is the transaction. Put it here. This obviously will be 16 as well. This will be 16. And we could take this and if we undo that, we can put these two in auto layout, send this to vertical line, and 16 in padding. If we paste, oh, what just happened? Okay, let's paste it out so that we can do some arrangements. I would cut this and paste it in here, and this is going to be 16, and this will be white, and we'll need to do some alignment here. If I hit enter, I'm going to change that to 0, 0, 0. I'll remove all the fields. If I hit enter, no, this has a fixed height, so I'll remove that. What I can do from here is I can give it like a padding of 12. Okay, and then we'll give it that outline, or you could just make it a list. But if you want to create like a clear separator, then I'll put the line at the bottom. And then I would put this somewhere around here. Are you guys still on the call? 16.
Yes, we are.
Oh, nice. I thought the call has ended. So 16, and this is already at 40. I think this is 16. Yeah, this is where the alignment is coming from. So 16. Select this, delete the rest. This one, I'll remove that stuff from it. And we can extend this. Oh shit! Can extend the screen to see what we have done. This guy would go down here, so it's always aligned there. Oh yeah, I'm using 16, not 8. And then the space between them could be either 16 or 24. Let me try 16. Yeah, 16 is good because they're within their own framing. For these guys, we'd make that 0 in horizontal and 16 in vertical. And yeah, you know what? I could actually make this hog content. Make this 16 and have it go out of the frame. That way we can have as many as possible. Make this 16 and CO looks quite big. 14 is good. Yeah, I am done with this section. I don't know if you guys have any question. It's not the best visually, but I'm sure you guys will be able to get the concept of the dashboard, you know, knowing what to add to the page that would make things relevant for the user or the admin that you're designing for. So yeah, this is it. I think I would need some more space for this one. Maybe we'll do 64. This is going to be aligned top. Yep. Maybe we put this to the right and we put an outline from this one to the top so that we have these nope. Yep, that's it. Is there any questions before I call it a wrap? Any questions? Okay, so I take that to be that there's no question. I hope you guys have gotten something from this, and I hope you'll be able to use it in your next project effectively. I'll see you guys in the future. This was like 3 hours of time. You said, why is the graph not appearing on the mobile screen? No, it's just a thing of how you have to manually adjust all of those things. So there's no much time to start doing that. You can adjust anything at all. On the mobile, You can even take a screenshot and add it, because most times the chart would be from certain libraries. So you can go to like, I think Flutter has a library for this. And there are other libraries out there. I think there's the JS chart, that's JavaScript chart. So you don't necessarily have to design the chart. You could just take a screenshot of it, add it on the web, and then you could also add it on the mobile as a screenshot, just an image in the section you want it to be, and just attach a link to that chart to the dev. The dev will be able to reuse it easily. They just need to know the parameters that have been set and the logic for the chart. For instance, how do we calculate the user spending? How do we calculate the numbers? You see those numbers that show 0 to 12, or like 0K, 1K, 1.5K, 2K. All of these, all of these numbers are defined by you, the UIUX designer, and also the business. If you have a BA or you have anybody on the team, they would be the ones to like define this. There are a lot of definitions that go in there. There's also like, if you go to the chart page, there's also going to be like customization for the user to be able to see the chart between today or 3 months ago or this week or this month and so on. So there'll always be this kind of customization as well. And these are things that you would have to like define. What does he mean when he says cuts? I'm not sure what you mean. Is there any other question?
Yeah, hi, David.
Yes, please go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you very much for taking out this time and taking us through this dashboard design. We really appreciate that. So I want to ask, there's this question, like, whenever I want to design, we sometimes go online like Pinterest, Behance to get inspirations and stuff. So I've been seeing this kind of let's say trend or design online. I don't think I've ever come across it on a actual websites, yes, which has a dashboard. So this where they always put this logout button on the sidebar, like the bottom part of the sidebar, or at the top navigation, like beside the avatar, like profile. So I want to ask, is that actually a good process? Like, is that actually a good UX to put that logout button where it's very visible there that user can easily see and maybe just click logout? That's my question.
I didn't quite get your question. You're saying in the sidebar they put what? The logout?
Logout, yes, like logout button.
Yeah, you could put it. Okay, so there's avatars that are added to. Let me just break down the logic for you. So on a sidebar, if I go back to sharing my screen, on the sidebar you can do multiple things. You could put an advert, a section for adverts, and so on. You could have a section down here like a card that shows like an avatar, the name of the user, and maybe the email, and then there's a chevron. You could also do that here. If you have this, you can have that. So it's either one of the two. So for instance, if you have this, if the user clicks, then there is a drop-down menu that shows a bunch of things that the user can do. The user can navigate to their profile. They can change the theme if you want to add like a quick action from here. And then there's a logout. The same happens for this section as well. If the user wants to log out, they'll have to click. There will be a menu. And then in that menu, that drop-down menu, there'll also be logout. Whether you want to put it explicitly, like adding a logout icon here, it's absolutely up to you. But you need to follow best practices. What are other brands doing? And why do I want to do this? Do you want the users to always log out? Is that what you want? Why do you want the users to always log out? So these are questions you would ask yourself, and you would only be the one to answer it. If you have someone you're working with on the team, they can answer it for you. But you also need to think about the experience on mobile. So if I'm putting a logout here, what will be the experience on the mobile dashboard? So would the users also see the logout on that section? So my recommendation is embed all of those actions within a drop-down menu. If the user clicks, the usual behavior today is if a user clicks on the avatar, they get that sheet. It has a bunch of icons, icon and text, and it has like the hover state as well. And the last one is usually logout, which sometimes when you hover on it, you're going to find like a red background around it because it's a critical action the user is about to take. So letting them know that if you're coming back here, you have to log in again. So this is how I would respond to that. Basically, if I design that, it's a very simple design. So you have something like this, settings. The padding is usually 8 to 12. And then here you have logout. And then this has like a white background, 12 in padding as well, 0px here. If I hit enter, this is 44, which is so much. Make this somewhere around 32. All right, and then at the top you would have the user's avatar and their name. Left aligned. This is completely out of this one. This is not interactive. Every time I look for these settings, it's always hard to find. I scroll all the way down. Okay. And this usually stays 8px away from the this line. So if I move it downwards, I'll send it downwards and it will be like 8px away. Some persons like to put it on the line, so it's up to you, whichever way you want it to be. I just noticed something with the sidebar. It's supposed to be 32. Yeah, so this would be this way, and then it's going to have like an outline, and I like to like add a drop down, a subtle drop down shadow to it. This 1 2 1 2 1 2, and yeah, that is when a user clicks on this, then they would get this. Let's correct that, and yeah, that's it. Do you understand it now?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. The same happens to the sidebar as well. You want to duplicate this and then paste to replace here. This would not be on absolute. And you delete this, would remove the drop shadow, remove the outline. So it's going to be like this. It's going to be on fill. And the entire thing would be, let's make it 800, 900, and clip content. The same thing happens here as well. For this one, you would have a chevron. You choose this one, and then you throw it in here. This and this auto layout, and then this would be on auto, and then there's like a frame around it. This frame is basically for the hover state. So if the user hovers, then it's like this. Okay, if the user clicks on it, then they would have this. I'm going to do this like this because I want it to be fill first, then I'll change it to be like this. Right, so it would now be like this. Sometimes it will completely cover. Some people that go with aesthetics, they would completely like make it this way, like scales. So sometimes this way they would now change the background. It would not have this hover stuff, so it feels like it expanded, you know. And then over here there will be like over here you'll now have this. So if they come back and click here, then it drops. Okay. For others, you have it 8px away. 2 3 1 2. Okay. You won't have this. This is aligned left. Then you have this. You won't even have this as well. And then let's hide this. So for others, you would only have this. I forgot to put the notification icon. So once you click, you have this, then you can either log out or you can navigate to other sections. For other ones too, I'm just showing you different ones. And the best thing is to test out these things on other platforms. How do they have it? Some other platforms would have it by the side, right? And this is going to be white. It's going to have the outline. And it's also going to have the drop shadow. So some other platforms have it this way. You can navigate to it. I think they have the chevron like this. If you click, then it shows this, and then if you go out, it closes. Yeah, that's it. All right, that's all the questions I can take for now. You guys have yourself a wonderful weekend, and bye-bye.